To eliminate your chronic pain and symptoms, you're doing the somatic work with your symptoms. You're processing emotions. You're journaling, meditating, and creating safety. But no matter how hard you try, you just aren't seeing progress. This is because the fancy strategies alone are not enough to heal. Now, I know using a brain-based approach to treating your chronic symptoms can be frustrating and confusing. I personally recovered from my chronic pain using this approach, and I'm also a therapist who has treated hundreds of clients, so I truly get it. In this video, I'm going to explain why you're not getting better, even though you're using the right strategies and practices. I'm going to lay out a detailed roadmap of what you need to change in order to eliminate your chronic pain and symptoms. Now, about 3.5 years into me having debilitating, widespread chronic pain, I came to understand that my pain was neuroplastic. So what this meant is my body was not damaged or diseased in any way. My pain was occurring because my nervous system was stuck in this heightened state of danger and dysregulation. Maybe you relate to this. Because I was training to be a therapist and had read several mind-body books, I understood what strategies and practices I needed to start using in order to get better. I cognitively changed my beliefs about my pain and body. I learned to somatically create safety with the sensations of pain. I processed my emotions. I journaled. I regulated my nervous system with breathwork and somatic movements. I processed trauma. And I reduced my perfectionism and people-pleasing. But after doing all of this for a few months, I just wasn't seeing progress. And many of the clients I've worked with end up in a similar situation where they're using the right strategies and practices, but their chronic symptoms are just not reducing. I came to realize that the fancy strategies are only part of the solution. A more important piece is cultivating the right healing mindset. Ask yourself, how am I being while I'm doing what I'm doing? See, the big missing piece in most people's recovery is mindsets. People focus so much time on the fancy strategies and practices, but almost no time on mindsets. Now, personally, when I shifted to cultivate the right healing mindset, and I spent a lot of time doing that, my recovery took off. Here is the mindset I focused on cultivating while I was recovering. As I go through each point, see what ones you need to work on. Slow, light, and easy. Approaching your healing with pressure and intensity is going to dysregulate your nervous system and worsen your chronic symptoms over time. So we need to practice slowness, lightness, and ease. One thing you can do is not set a healing deadline. Healing deadlines just kill progress. They put so much pressure and expectation on yourself. So do not set a healing deadline. Next, use the strategies and practices, but not too much or too often. Also, don't set this really strict, rigid schedule of healing practices to do. Instead, notice how each day strategies and practices affect your nervous system differently. Now, you also want to give yourself permission to take a day off from the healing work. It's okay to take a day off now and then. Lastly, you want to change how you're functioning in your daily life. Slow down your speech. Slow down your movement. Take a task or activity off your to-do list. Push it into later in the week. Start to live with a sense of slowness because this is going to calm your nervous system over time. Focus on safety. Obviously, you are doing all the strategies and practices to reduce and eliminate your chronic pain and symptoms. That makes sense. That's why you're watching this video. But it's not helpful to be so hyper-focused on the goal of symptom reduction. It actually stalls progress. Instead, we need to make this focus safety. I think about short-term versus long-term goals. The short-term goal should be cultivating as much safety in your nervous system as possible. The long-term goal is symptom reduction and elimination. But to get to that long-term goal, you need to focus on the short-term goal of cultivating safety. So make that the focus. Cultivate safety with your pain and symptoms, with emotions, with nervous system state, with thoughts, and in how you live life. One question to ask yourself each and every morning when you wake up is, what's one thing I can do today to feel 1 to 2% safer? I like this question because it's not putting the expectation on yourself to feel 100% epic safety. That's not a good goal to have. It's, again, going to increase pressure and intensity. Make the goal, how can I make myself feel 1 to 2% safer? Face your fears. Most of us, when we have chronic pain and symptoms, we avoid everything. We avoid the symptoms themselves. We avoid movements and positions. We avoid activities, living life, emotions, memories, or nervous system state. And that avoidance is a danger signal to your brain that will worsen your symptoms over time. So the mindset here needs to be facing your fears. This is essential to get better. Healing is not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be able to do it instantly. Healing is about facing your fears, starting to slowly attend to symptoms even though you don't want to, starting to approach movements, positions, activities, going back to work, starting a new hobby, or starting to face bigger things like trauma memories or dysregulation in your nervous system. We need to have this focus of facing fears. So each day, make sure the avoidance level isn't getting too high. Each day, make sure you're spending time facing a small fear. Now, again, do this slowly and gradually, but make sure each day you're making progress towards facing more fears, as this is going to help your recovery take off. Viewing symptoms as meaningful messages. Now, because of our medicalized culture and our biological instincts, we equate pain or symptoms to mean damage or disease in the body. And when symptoms are neuroplastic, this just isn't the case. We know that many forms of chronic symptoms are neuroplastic, meaning they're occurring due to your brain and nervous system feeling in danger, and your body's actually physically healthy. So we need to start to view our symptoms as meaningful messages. When all of a sudden your pain increases one day, you want to start to analyze, okay, what sense of danger is taking place? Is there conflict in some of my relationships? Am I stressed out at work? Do I feel deep sadness or anger inside? You start to understand why your symptoms are occurring and what message they're trying to tell you. And by doing this, you have more awareness around what healing work you need to actually engage in. I like this idea of viewing symptoms as meaningful messages because it stops you from fighting against them all the time and fighting to make them go away. We're actually now listening to our nervous system and the symptoms it's creating and making adjustments internally or externally where we need to. So view your symptoms as meaningful messages. Have hope you can heal. Hope is tricky because many of my clients, by the time they come to see me, have been in this hope disappointment cycle with a variety of physical treatments. They, get a suggestion from their doctor to try a new physical treatment, like an injection. They get hopeful, oh, maybe this is it. Maybe this will heal my chronic symptoms. Then it fails and they feel disappointed. So by the time people come to see me, they have a hard time cultivating hope in this brain-based approach. They're hoped out. They don't want to do it anymore. And I totally get that. But I do think you should be hopeful about this approach because many forms of chronic pain and symptoms are neuroplastic. Research supports that you can heal your chronic symptoms using a brain-based approach. We have witnessed hundreds of our clients getting better using this approach, and I personally recovered fully by doing the strategies and practices I talk about on this channel. So we need to work on cultivating hope. Now, this just won't click on. It's going to take some work. And so you want to start to read or watch success stories online. Start to read the mind-body literature, such as mind-body books, or some people even like to read the research studies because it helps solidify some of that. Make sure you watch videos on my channel or other people's channels that make you feel hopeful about this approach. We're just doing this consistently to keep hope alive because hope can be healing. Another way you can cultivate hope is looking out for healing wins. These can look like responding to symptoms with less fear, frustration, or despair, focusing and fixating on your symptoms less, widening your world and activity, increased belief your symptoms are neuroplastic, approaching or expressing emotions with greater safety, feeling calmer and more at ease, reducing the pressure to be perfect or please others, healthier communication or boundaries in relationships, pain or symptoms reducing, and more. So what I suggest you do is each morning for 5 to 10 minutes, write down all your healing wins from the previous day and look for small healing wins. These don't need to be these big, gigantic things. And you noticed on the list, there's a lot of healing wins besides your pain or symptoms reducing. That's important to understand here. Don't just look out for the healing win that your pain is less. Look out for all the healing wins that I just listed off, and each morning spend 5 or 10 minutes writing these down. This is going to set up your day with a sense of hope and belief that this approach will help you heal. So this is the right healing mindset. I want to be clear, this won't just click on. You need to practice the steps that I outlined in this video consistently. And over time, it will help you cultivate the right mindsets. So now that we've covered the right healing mindset, let's dive into doing some somatic work with pain and symptoms. Click the video link below to get started. Take care.